Ghana's power crisis, we're told, has worsened in the Ashanti region, and the region currently has only 50 megawatts of power available for distribution, being the hardest hit. And Ghana's second largest city requires apparently 200 megawatts of power. The Electricity Company of Ghana says 50 megawatts is only enough to power security installations in the region. That is what they have now, and so it means that there's complete shutout. The Ashanti region is not the only one that's facing the difficulty. I don't know whether we have to comment on this. It's a nationwide problem.
No, it's worse in Ashanti, I tell you. I was over
you think it's deliberate? You're lucky. You think it's deliberate?
Oh, no. I don't know. I'm not talking about deliberate. I'm not talking
Is my question below the belt?
It's below the belt.
Oh. Now you're telling me I'm biased.
No, not biased. I mean, we have a problem in our house, you know.
This is not fair. You know you are my man. But
no, but the truth of the matter is that you go home, there's no light.
We are all suffering.
You wake up at 2 a.m. you have light. Yeah. So you're preparing. 6 a.m. is gone.
I asked that because you said that Ashanti region was suffering, but I know even Accra is worse. Yes.
I live in Accra.
Only that Accra is large.
I live in Kumasi. I live at Bekwai. I spend one night, anytime I go, I spend a night in Kumasi. I go and spend 1 or 2 nights.
Where do you spend a lot more nights in Accra?
Accra.
Okay.
And the comparison is vast.
And the responses you get around there it shows that Kumasi is the worst.
Oh, I mean, what I experience over there, when you get the light, it comes on at a time you can't use it.
That's what I'm asking. Is it deliberate? You think that?
I don't know why. I ask for interpretation of that is open and wide. You can say it's deliberate.
I think people doesn't like my question.
But the truth of the matter, yes, we have 50 megawatts sharing. Give me maybe 2 hours in the morning so I can use to iron and do my... All the time I went, I needed to write letters instructing my MCE to spend my common fund and others in certain ways.
You spend?
You know?
You spend? Not to type?
We had to go and hire a generator to come to my office for 2 hours before you can type the letters and distribute them. And all that period, that cost, it's not part of my budget.
It's not borne by anybody else but you. Okay. This one sentence.
Yes, I don't think it's deliberate. What it is that we have a crisis on our hands. And I believe it is about time we once and for all, like the president said, to fix this power problem. We need to fix it once and for all. Because, look, for the past 1 week in my office, I've been using generator.
True. When I
my
office is close by.
Exactly. You know, and when you get home, we get to the office in the morning, like
I think the whole of the week.
And then when you go home to the same problem. So for 24 hours across the line, you are using generator. So we have to find a lasting solution. I believe whatever it is, this should be above politics, and that nobody should do anything deliberately to affect the life of any citizen of this country. So if Ashanti region have got a problem, ECG must find out why they are not able to give them power. They should do, see, these are the kind of that we should hold people accountable. When we don't hold people accountable and then we start playing the game of politics, then they get away scot-free. Whoever, the Ashanti region minister, the mayor, all those people in charge of that region must get up and resolve the problem of the people of Ashanti. They are Ghanaians. They are Ghanaians, like me and you. We all must be able to benefit from the resources that the good Lord has given to us. So if Gridco, if VRE, if EC, they've got a problem, then we should hold them because you are paying them.
Sorry. Pure diplomatic talk. Proper political communication. I love that. There's been an issue apparently in courts. The Supreme Court has cleared workers of the Ghana Education Service and the Ghana Highway Authority. They are 2 individuals who engage in partisan politics. And we know that, well, this has been a murky issue over the course of the Fourth Republic. According to the ruling by the 7-member panel of judges, workers of the 2 organizations do not belong in the category of persons barred from engaging in partisan politics by the 1992 Constitution. I'm not the lawyer, but the ruling follows a suit brought before the Apex Court by the Member of Parliament for Efutu, Alex Afenyo-Markin, challenging eligibility of the chairman of the National Democratic Congress in the Efutu constituency and others who work with the Ghana Authority and the GES. And we know in the writ, well, he He alleged that the gentleman, Mr. Lamte, works with the Ghana Highway Authority and he's an administrative officer with the Swedro Senior High School, that's the other, and we're contesting for the chairmanship and secretary position respectively in the NDC, and so should not be allowed to actively participate in the exercise. Now, I have to start with you. You're the MP, but also you seem to have found yourself in a certain similar position, so to speak, even though at a higher level. How does it go? What does the Constitution say?
Well, the Constitution is clear about civil servants not doing partisan politics. And even the Civil Service Act itself also bars civil servants from taking positions in political parties. So the position is clear. But this judgment turns on whether the institutions that are called authorities, Ghana Highway Authority, Driver and Vehicle License Authority, Ghana Education Service, whether they are civil service organizations, properly so-called. And my understanding of the judgment was that the Supreme Court decision is that those institutions are not part of the civil service. I've had that challenge a while. I recall that in 2008, when I was head of DVLA and I wanted to contest as a parliamentary candidate, my party raised that question that am I not breaching the Constitution being a civil servant? At that time, my argument was that DVLA was not a civil service, as in reporting through the head of civil service. You know, the party cleared me. Now, after the primaries, the head of the Public Services Commission, the head, Professor Wood, actually called me that he thinks as a public servant, I should not have contested and I should resign. We had an argument, and I made reference to some Supreme Court decisions. I insisted that by the decisions of the Supreme Court, until I filed to contest in the national elections, I'm not doing partisan politics yet. That was the definition. Of course, we are all guided by what the Supreme Court says.
What do you say national elections?
That is what the Supreme Court has ruled. That,
and what's the national election?
I mean, the parliamentary election itself.
Okay.
Until you file, that was the decision, that until a person has filed to contest in the national parliamentary election or presidential election, all other things are speculative. You know, so I'm guiding myself by that ruling. Now we have moved to the next level, in which the Supreme Court has defined what constitutes the civil service and pointed out that agencies that are not directly under the head of civil service.
Examples like?
For example, Ghana Highway Authority was a test case. Ghana Education Service now has, as being independent of the head of civil service, managed themselves, Ghana Education Service. But if you take the road sector, for example, there are three agencies: the Ghana Highway Authority, Department of Urban Roads, and Department of Feeder Roads. Now, by this definition, if an engineer works in Department of Feeder Roads, he's a civil servant. The same engineer, if he moved to the Ghana Highway Authority, then he moves out of the civil service. That's how I understand the definition given by the Supreme Court. So it's like, okay, the law hasn't changed, except that now it has been clarified which agency can be called civil service, properly so called, and which one is not.
Does that pave the way for mainstream politicians now to do mainstream politics if they want to, and they're still serving in certain institutions that are under the public sector?
That's the indication when it's an authority. Even chiefs are not supposed to do politics.
So somebody can work at the VRA and go and contest and come back to his job if he loses.
Exactly, because he's not part of the civil service.
Even though we know VRA, Ministry of Energy.
Yeah, no, but you see, like Joe said, VRA is an authority by itself. Yeah. Recruitment are not done to the civil service. They are not employed to the civil service, right? So VRA does its own recruitment. So it has got no recourse to civil service or public purse. Here, civil service servants are paid from the public purse, whilst VRA, by their own workings, pay their staff. You know, so I believe that going forward, everybody in this country has a party or votes. Even the Supreme Court, they vote. Except that in this our country, because we put everything under political spectrum, it makes people wanting to come out want to hide behind it. But I think the Supreme Court has spoken, so let's move forward.
Okay, that'll be where we close our discussions for the morning. I had wanted to ask, indeed, with Joe Wise, I went through a number of scenarios with him. I would have wanted to talk about it. But, well, that'll be it. Joseph Osei-Wusu is a member of parliament for Bekwai, a legal practitioner, and thanks for joining me. All right. And also, Joseph Ni Adekoka, it's the chairman of the NDC for Greater Accra. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. And